Hello, welcome or welcome back to World on a String Designs. My name is Alicia. In this video, I'm going to talk about my treadmill knitting challenge. So to sort of set up for this, I have, my husband and I have been doing what we call fart walks. So this is really just a quick little stroll around the neighborhood. We have two main routes that we could take, and one is about a 2-mile trip and the other one is a half a mile, and it goes along the river. So what we found is we have cats, and if they're adorable, but if they see us leaving to go for a walk, they want to come with us and they will follow us the whole walk. So we don't really like when they join us on the longer route. So if they start to follow us, we just take the shorter one, the little loop, and then we don't worry about them. There's not much traffic on that road. So anyway, we started doing these sort of mini walks. They really only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and we started calling them fart walks. And we just usually do it after a meal. It's something I saw online, and I thought it was a good marketing strategy to get my husband to join me, and it worked. So that's what we have been doing. I'll try to put up some B-roll of the cats, one of the cats following us on the walk. It's quite adorable, and as best we can figure, we think the cats think that we're just like dumb babies and we don't know how to survive in the wilderness. Not that it's very wilderness, but we don't know how to survive in the big outdoors. And they come along to, make sure we make it home okay or don't get lost or, whatever. We started doing these walks, but we live in Maine. So this time of year, it's very, very cold and it's dark. And if it snowed recently, the roads really aren't in a great condition. They might have a lot of ice and snow on them. We do live on a side road, so the roads don't get really great attention. So we actually got a treadmill, and it's been in the basement, and I've hardly used the thing. So I had this great idea. So I have this big stash, and I'm always torn between how much I want to work down my existing stash and buy new things. And that is something that I am in the works of setting up. So I'll have a video for that coming later about quantifying my stash and what's in there, how I want to use it, and how I want to balance working down the stash and bringing in new items. But sort of the gist of it is I don't want to just bring in a lot of new items, right? I want it to be a little more intentional. So with my treadmill challenge, I had this wonderful idea. So sock knitting is one of my favorite things to do. And I do have the solo sock club. And one of the things of the sock club is I do about half vanilla socks and about half more involved patterns. So I can't always do those socks, knit those socks while I'm on the treadmill. If it has a pattern I got to refer to, vanilla socks I could do in my sleep, right? How about if I pick out sock yarn that I am super excited about, and I can only work on it when I'm on the treadmill? So this checks a couple boxes for me. It's a way for me to work toward a goal, which is moving more. So I feel better, I'm healthier when I'm moving more. And it's very much a challenge for me in the winter. And it's also a way to get more yarn with less guilt. So that's a bonus as well. And I get the reward of a special skein of sock yarn that doesn't even come from my yarn budget, right? It comes from my health budget. So, and my husband's on board with that, so yay me. And yeah, the catch is just I can only knit when I am on the treadmill. So and already I'm like, I want to get back on the treadmill so I can. So I actually look forward to the workout, and it's not like a high intensity thing. It's just keep myself moving sort of thing, right? So it never was intended to be like a high intensity workout or anything like that. But especially this time of year, where there's not much daylight and it's mind-numbingly cold outside, I can still be a little more active and feel good about it and look forward to it. I want to show you the little kit that I put together for my treadmill knitting challenge. So I have it in a little bag. This is one that I haven't released this design yet. This is one that is up on my website, or will be up on my website. And this is called Spring Floral. and it has this little heart-shaped carabiner clip. So you could put, this can come off, you could put your scissors on here or your stitch markers or whatever, but it's a drawstring bag. This keeps it safe when other people might want to be using the treadmill because, you know, people might spill energy drinks on it or whatnot. Who knows? It keeps it safe. Or drop it on the floor, it's dusty in the basement, whatever. So this is the yarn that I have. And this is Pemaquid by One Loop in Yarns. And the colorway is Botanical. And I have it on my mini minder. And I actually do have a heck of a time with this thing. So what I find is when I'm knitting up, it sort of gets, you can kind of see, like it gets all caught. It gets kind of caught in the hardware. And so I actually, what I've found is I take it on the treadmill and I hang this off the arm of the treadmill so it's sort of coming from the side. And then I take the working yarn and I loop it around the other side. And what the result of that is it just pulls it more sideways like this. And because I find if I pull it up, it just gets caught. And then that doesn't make for a very smooth experience. But once I got it set up so that it feeds nicely, it's working great for me. And I actually do, one of the things I do like about this is it'll sort of, if I just had it on a table, which I don't for this challenge, right? This is treadmill only. But it'll just sit really nicely. It won't roll away. And then it sort of tips it. You do have to take the wristlet off if you're just doing it tabletop because then it gets in the way. But it sort of tips it toward me so it's easier to feed from it. And it, you know, I just find it keeps the cats from attacking it because it doesn't roll around nicely like they would like. But anyway, and then I have my needles of choice, which for me is double pointed needles. I like 2.25 double pointed needles. I like metal needles. I'm very particular about my sock knitting tools. I did pick up some 9-inch circulars to try, but I didn't want to do that on the treadmill because I don't want to deal with a stitch marker. So it's treadmill knitting. I don't want any little extra bits and bobs that might get dropped or anything like that. Sort of the setup and the rules of how this is going to work is before I get started with the knitting on the treadmill, I will cast on the stitches and knit the first 2 rounds of each sock before I get on the treadmill. That's just so there's less opportunity to drop something and get distracted, and you know, I am on a treadmill and moving, so I do want to be a little bit focused on, I don't know, safety. But once I get a couple rounds in, I find the stitches stay nicely on the needles, and if I drop a stitch, if I've got 2 rows, then it's not tricky to pick one up. It's really not a big deal. So that is my treadmill knitting challenge. You can see this was 20 minutes last night and 30 minutes today on the treadmill. So I got just past the ribbing and got into the knitting. And I apologize because it is Maine and the lighting, of course, is already dark out. So lighting is not easy to come by this time of year. So I'm not sure that colorway is showing up really great. But it's called Botanical. It looks just like a spring garden. It is absolutely stunning. And I'm super excited about them. And like, I love these sort of a little bit variegated but a little bit speckled yarn. And I'm very much looking forward to getting these done. So like, I can't wait to come over tomorrow morning. I already did my my workout for today. But I might do a fart walk down there after dinner. So maybe an extra 10 minutes or so. But I'm very excited to work on these. And I actually also have some socks in mind. So they weren't part of my sock club, but I have a friend who has a birthday coming up, and I thought it would be wonderful to knit her some socks, and I had the perfect yarn in mind from my stash. So that actually would even be a freebie, right? No money spent on that, and no new stash acquisition, so I could feel really good about that one. But yeah, I had a sock yarn, and not really a pattern, but it would just be basic ribbed socks. I know her feet are about the same size as mine, so we wear the same shoe size anyway. So a nice ribbed sock for a gift really gives like a lot of leeway and stretch, so that if you don't have the measurements of someone's foot, it's a pretty safe bet that a rib sock will work well. So that's it for the Treadmill Knitting Challenge, and I actually was thinking I might do like a sock yarn subscription if it goes well and I'm able to keep up with it. I did order a single yarn of the month from Oakwood Knits. They're based in California, so I did order their February yarn, which would ship, I believe, at the end of the month. So I'm hoping these will be well underway and complete by then. And then, so then they'll have the surprise sock club yarn probably for March, or maybe that would get here mid-March at the latest. And my friend's birthday is in May, so I could work on those. So we'll see. Like if I'm consistent and I stick with this, I may just do like a sock club type thing. If you know of any good sock clubs, because I have been kind of trying to research this, let me know what you love. So I think I had done a Sweet Georgia Fiber Club before. I mean, this is like 10 years ago, and that was great. And I think there was another like small dyer who's not in business anymore that I used to do a lot of her yarn clubs, and I sort of got out of yarn clubs for a while while I kind of knit down stash. But if I'm using it and I'm doing it, I would like to give it a try. So let me know, like, what are your favorite subscription clubs for sock yarn, or your favorite dyers. I'm kind of would like to go with a variety, like if there's one that does like a different dyer each month, so I could try out some different things and show you guys too, and I could do the unboxings. So please leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts or ideas, anything that you've used and you've loved, or something that you just want to try that you've had your eye on. So I've been kind of like lurking on the interwebs trying to find some good ones, so I definitely like any hot leads that you guys can provide. Moving right along, finished objects. So I have two finished objects. I did finish the Phelan Fox cowl, and I did give it away, so I don't have it to show because it was a request for a gift for somebody, and it was for a child, and I did receive a very nice thank you and a photo of the child wearing it, but it's not my child and it's not my place to put their picture on the internet. I, however, did make this cowl many years ago well, actually it was for someone else, but I have a picture of my child wearing it, who is like 10 years older now and doesn't even look the same. However, I'll put that, gets me every time. I'll put a photo of that up so you can see how it looks, and it was one that I did with the same yarn, so I'm sure it looks the same. So Phelan Fox cowl is a finished object. That one is off the needles. And then I have a teenage son. He will not open the door to his room, and we have a heat pump, so it gets cold in his room and he does not want to open the door. So he was complaining about his feet being cold, and after I nagged him about leaving his door open, because he's never gonna reliably do that, I did ask him if I could make him some socks, and he said yes. So he picked out the yarn and I made him these socks. So his feet are quite a bit larger than my little sock model. But this is just 2x2 rib, and this is 3 Irish Girls Kel's Sport is the base. And so this is I believe a 100% superwash merino. And again, it's a sport weight. And I love that the colorway is called Collins. And I love the way it almost looks kind of neon. So it almost looks like a Monster energy drink vibe. From my teenager, and we do have 2 of them. Of course, you know how socks are. They always look a little funky until you put them on. or block them, but I don't really block socks because they're a negative ease project. Once you put them on, they look normal. And then once you wash them, they are blocked, right? Once you wear them and wash them. So those are the socks I made for my son. That was a pretty quick knit. So that's actually a cast on and a finished object all in the same video. You know, we want to get him the socks while it's still cold. So couldn't put them at the end of the line. They wouldn't be ready until next winter. Then we have, for works in progress, I have my February Sock Club socks, and this was the Jekyll and Hyde pattern, and it was Cascades Heritage Quattro is the yarn. And this one, I'm not sure this was the best pairing because I feel like this is the yarn. See if we can get that to focus a little better. And it actually is 4 plies. Try to get that to focus. So there's 2 shades of green in there. And there's one that's sort of blue, like a bluish purple. And there's one that's black. And then it's a 4 ply, so you end up with this, it looks really very, let's see if we can get the light a little better here. Sorry, it's not focusing really great. But even just the stockinette part, you get a lot of depth to it. You know, I thought a yarn like this, it's pretty, you know, unlike a variegated yarn, right? This is pretty consistent. So I thought it would go well with this pattern, but I do feel like it sort of, the yarn and the pattern sort of get a little lost. And I think this yarn might have been better suited for just vanilla socks. Because they really do look, in that stockinette portion, it looks very, like it's got a lot of depth. It has this marling. And I think just with the pattern, I think it's just a little much. And I think this might have looked better with, oh, sorry, the light is horrid. Even just the variegated, you know, like something that's highly contrasted. If you look at some of the photos of what other people have knit, this pattern actually displays that really well. And also with a solid color, it just makes the texture pop. But I feel like with the marling in here, you sort of lose the texture and you lose the you know, the marling in the yarn. So I'm not sure this is a great combo, but I think the socks are coming along nicely. They do look very cozy. They don't look bad at all. They just, it's not quite what I was going for. But we'll finish them up and I'll show you once they're done how they come out. It's a nice pattern. I really enjoy the pattern. It seemed complicated at first, but after a couple repeats, it's pretty easy to memorize. So that was nice also. I will say that with this yarn and with the yarn and the pattern combo, it does hide mistakes really well. So I do know that there are a few mistakes in here, but I don't see them even though I know they're there, just because it hides it well. You know, it sort of camouflages it well. Next up, we have the Winter League pullover, and this is one that I'm still working on. You can see it's a little bit longer, but not a ton of extra progress made on this. It's just several inches since the last update. I will say, like, I am coming off like the busiest time of year at work, so I haven't had a ton of time to work on projects. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. But things should be a little more manageable moving forward. So hopefully we'll get some good progress. I'm hoping I get to wear that while it's still cold out. And I also continue to work on the scrap blanket. I'm not going to try to hold it up because it's enormous and you can't see anything and I can't tell if it's focusing. But I will take a photo of that and put it up so you can see how how big it is. I think maybe like a monthly check-in on that one would be good because I don't get a ton of time to work on that. It doesn't always change. I might not even update if I haven't touched it. But it's a whip, so we'll keep calling it a whip. And then I also did find, as I was cleaning stuff out, I found this poor whip that really probably was hibernating. And this is a hand spun yarn. This was some Purple Fleece club yarn, which Purple Fleece isn't even in business anymore. You can see my cats like got hold of it and just did a number on it. But I still want to finish it. So this is a perennial hat by Alana Dacos. This pattern was gifted to me quite a while ago. And again, this is, I started on this before we moved and apparently just set it down and lost track of it. But I came across it and I was super excited about this, and now I'm excited about it again. So I am going to be adding this to my whip list. Now I actually do have some acquisitions to share with you this time. So I don't know that I'll have them every time that I do a video because I couldn't possibly knit that fast. But I've had a few things come in, and some of these I probably had before I filmed other videos, but I have them all here now, so we're going to talk about them. In my New Year's resolution knitting edition video, I did talk about I wanted to knit Halloween socks this year. So I did pick up some self-striping Halloween yarn with a little coordinating mini, and the colors really aren't showing up. They look a little washed out, but this is like a highlighter purple color, and these are kind of traditional Halloween colors. The purple looks really washed out. The orange and the green look pretty true to color. So this is from Tall Pine Yarn. That's an Etsy shop, and they're based out of Massachusetts. And the colorway on the listing was Halloween Sock Yarn 2. And the color for the purple mini was fluorescent purple. So this won't be knit until probably summer or early fall, but it's going into stash now. So here we have it. This is a yarn from One Lupin. One Lupin is a yarn shop in Bangor, and they're my closest, Bangor, Maine, and they are my closest yarn store, and they are delightful. And they do dye their own line of yarn. So this is Sako. I don't know if that's showing up. And this is a 4-ply fingering, and it is 80% merino and 20% nylon, and the colorway is Blue Wave. And this one I'd had my eye on for a while, and I happened to be in the shop in a week, so I came home with me. And again, we had the Pemaquid, came from One Lupin as well. The Pemaquid is a 2-ply fingering weight, and that also is 80-20, 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. So they are somewhat similar, just 4-ply instead of 2-ply on the Casco versus the 2-ply for the Pemaquid. And again, this was a color Botanical, and I apologize because this lighting just really isn't doing it justice. Hopefully we have better lighting when I show off the finished object, or show it off as a work in progress next time. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button if you have. And I know everybody wants to find out how my treadmill challenge goes, so fingers crossed. I am a hoarder of sock yarn, so hopefully this will be a great adventure for me. Here, somewhere. Here.